David, I didn't see any visible reaction from Catherine. What is your reaction to this?
I didn't note any visible reaction either. So in terms of her reaction, I can't speak to. We respect the judge's decision. It's obvious that Judge Bonifant spent a long time evaluating the legal standard and evaluating the evidence presented. I don't agree with his decision, but we certainly respect it. I understand it. I will say I think that Judge Bonifant got the law right. Respectfully, I disagree with the application in this case, but we understand his decision and we'll have to move on from there.
Are you concerned about Catherine's mental well-being now that this is going forward?
I've been concerned about her mental well-being since 2014. That concern does not go away as a result of today's case, or today's decision. I know that Catherine is now going to be the one who's going to have to make the various decisions because it's her case. I am concerned whether or not she's going to be able to do that, but the judge thinks that she can, and so we'll proceed in that fashion.
Will you be staying with the case?
I'm not going to talk about anything in the future. I don't know what's going on in the future. So,
the judge said that she's made significant progress and pointed to text and phone records, evidence during the two-day hearing. Do you disagree with that evidence, or do you think there was a spot on?
Well, I guess there are two questions. Do I agree that she has made progress? Yes. Catherine has been forthright, honest, done everything that every doctor has ever asked her to do since 2014. She has not malingered. She has tried to get better. She has done everything in order to try and get better, and I think that really speaks to her character. The evidence that you're talking about, as we argued yesterday, was selected evidence by the state's attorney, of which we were aware, but we didn't know it was part of the expert's opinion until last Wednesday. The judge takes the evidence as the judge takes the evidence. I can't disagree that the evidence exists, but I don't think that a text or a phone call or a series of these things addresses the issue at hand. But the judge made his decision and we respect it.
Dave, you talked about how, or the judge talked about how, even though someone might be suffering from schizophrenia, that does not mean that they're incompetent to stand trial. We've talked to other officers that said there have been those who suffered from psychosis and were able to still stand trial. Can you talk a little bit about what makes Catherine different in this case and why she...
I'm not sure, other than what you heard over the last 2 days, that I could really speak to that. I agree, at least as I understand it from the medical personnel, that somebody can have a mental illness and not be incompetent. I guess that is the basis of Judge Bonifant's finding today, because they have to have the ability to understand what's going on, the ability to rationally and reasonably participate in their defense. The judge thinks that she can. That doesn't mean that she wasn't or isn't suffering under the diagnoses that she suffers, but he doesn't believe that that is affecting her competency today.
David, I know this is...
I was just going to say, what's next from here?
I'm sorry?
What's next from here?
Well, next there's going to be a status conference on December 23rd at 1:30 before Judge Bonifant.
David, I know this is fairly new, but knowing Catherine as you know, would you say she's looking forward to her day in court? Do you have any idea on a potential plea of not criminal?
Oh, I very much appreciate the question. I understand where it's coming from. I can't possibly speak to that. Until 5 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago, whatever it was when the judge rendered his decision, Catherine did not have the ability, nor had she, whether she had the ability or not, made a single decision about strategy, about pleas, about what was going on in her case. She did not legally have that ability. We've now had a decision. She's going to have to make some decisions, and those are going to be difficult decisions. So I can't, unfortunately, speak to any of those issues.
But do you have an overall sense that, has she always been fearful of her day in court? Or knowing her, is she going to be okay to fight or plead or whatever?
Well, obviously, no one is in Catherine's head. I can't speak to what she might be afraid of or not afraid of. I do know what doctors have reported over the years. She does suffer from paranoia, so I can't address that specifically. I will say as you heard from the evidence, that she is a timid person, that she does have what we believe to be irrational fears about what's going on. I don't know if that addresses your question, but I personally can't speak to anything other than that because I'm not an expert, and you've heard what the experts had to say.
And it's unclear whether or not you're going to continue on with the case from here?
Who said that?
That's what I thought I heard you say.
No, I said I'm not addressing anything in the future.
She's going back to Perkins. Is that the best place for her right now?
Well, obviously the court thinks that's the best place for her, given.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's the best. I think that's where she should be. So,
Thanks.
yeah. All right, take care.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Lindsay, do you have a minute? Do you have anything? No? Understood. I thought just. Oh, thank you.
Hey, Ryan,
Let you know.
stay with me. Come on, go. Is Stephanie dragging you? My name is John McCarthy, and I'm the state's attorney for Montgomery County. We're here today, just seconds ago, left the courtroom of Judge James Bonifant, who found Catherine Hoggle competent to stand trial in this matter. This is a case that has taken 11 years to get us to where we are today. We are gratified by the time and attention that was given to this case by Judge Bonifant. There's no way that I could describe more fully or more accurately an analysis of the evidence in this case. I think Judge Bonifant's analysis was absolutely spot on. This has been an incredible journey. Ms. Wexler and I have been on this case since day one. And we've stood with Troy and Stephanie and Matt, who's with us, through a lot of these hearings. This has been a tough journey, and I think I know that we have always longed for the opportunity to go to trial in this matter. And we are going to have a status on December the 23rd, where potentially Judge Bonifant will not be the trial judge. Judge Dwyer will be the trial judge. We just have to find time on her calendar to set this in for trial. But again, we are eternally grateful to Judge Bonifant for the time and attention he gave to this matter. As was reflected by Judge Bonifant in great detail, those text messages and those phone calls told us what the functioning ability of Catherine Hoggle is right now. I'm very grateful for the assistance that was given to the state by Dr. Christiane Tellefson, who I will tell you is the best forensic psychiatrist in the state of Maryland. She's been working on this case with us for 6 years. The opinion that she gave in court a couple of days ago that Catherine was competent to stand trial was not where she was. Because we've learned, and it was mentioned by Judge Bonifant, these kinds of conditions, they can change, and they're fluid, just like dangerousness is fluid, and competency to stand trial can be fluid. But we're at a point in time when, as Judge Bonifant pointed out in open court, it was inescapable when you read those hosts of text messages, and the judge was referring to a few, but there are thousands of them. And phone calls he referred to a few, but there are hundreds of them. I'm grateful for the friendship of Troy and him working with me for these many, many years. As you might imagine, as everybody knows the course of this case, our own personal relationship was a little rocky to begin with because he was a grieving dad, and I was somebody trying to hold someone accountable for the crime of taking the life of his children. And in the early days, he was still looking for them. But I want to thank Troy for putting up with me and sort of understanding where we were coming from many years ago when we started this journey together. I'm very happy for him. And I also will say, look, if you've been in court, I did not do this by myself. The closing argument that was given by Ryan in this case, and many of you were there, was absolutely spectacular. And I was honored to join her in this journey. And again, as I said earlier, we've been together on this. I've never done any of this by myself. I've always done it with Ryan. And we also try to, because we do care about victims, do care about families. We've always tried to keep Troy, Stephanie, through Matt, who's an old high school friend of Troy's, who's a great lawyer in the county, tried to keep them apprised of what was happening in the case. So I'm very thankful for them. We have a lot of work to do. There's still a trial to be done in this matter, and I'm sure there'll be other twists and turns, but I'm very grateful that we get to take this very first important step, and we are eternally grateful to Judge Bonifant for his ruling today. I think Troy might want to say something.
First, just, thank you guys, those of you who've been here a long time, those of you who came along a little later. Thank you for still being here for my kids and reporting on them. Obviously, I want to thank John and Ryan, Mike and Dimitri, and Matt. I was a defensive end in high school. He was my tackle, and he's been protecting me for about 45 years now. So, right now where we're at is just, it's obviously bittersweet. It is something where, we've been trying to do this for a very long time, as you guys know. But at the same time, we're about to go through a murder trial for my two babies. And that's what I don't ever want anyone to lose sight of. This is still about my kids. In a perfect world, I want to know where my kids are, and I want justice. The main thing for me is still the main thing, and what this does also is I believe it creates a situation where hopefully maybe Catherine will say something if she's not comfortable. But in the end, my babies deserve justice. They deserve more than anything to come home and be loved on, and that's the most important thing here. And that, I think, has been one of the most frustrating things out of all this stuff, is that I feel like people lose sight of there's two babies that are gone. I also want to thank Judge Bonifant. I said back in 2022 that I thought he was a fair man. I didn't agree with him at the time, but if you look back, I said I thought he was fair, and I still believe that, and I think that with what he was given and able to look at this time, and I think that made all the difference. I want to just thank him for just being exactly what he is and what he's supposed to be as well. But I appreciate all you guys. I don't really have much else to say except for thank God that we're here, and we're moving forward.
Were you afraid it was going to go the other way?
I'll be honest with you. I said several times to people before we walked in, I felt like I was walking in to flip a coin. I felt like that John and Ryan did enough to get us here. I just didn't know, if it was something that Judge Bonifant was going to be comfortable making that decision, to be honest with you. But it's amazing that we're here now and we're moving forward one way or another.
Troy, do you think now that she's facing the real possibility of a murder trial, she may give up something that she's not been able to give up before?
I don't necessarily think so. I just think that's the slim shot is that, but it's not something I'm kind of hanging my hat on. I think we're going to wind up, possibly. I think that it's going to be, like I've said before, I think we're going to have to keep searching for my kids, and I either find them or die trying.
John, can you clarify something? As far as the text messages, the phone calls, were from the jail. So was that crucial because you wouldn't have gotten the same thing from Perkins? Is that correct?
I don't think we could have gotten the same thing from Perkins. At the jail, if you are an inmate in Montgomery County, you have the opportunity to use the phone. When you place a phone call, the first thing you hear is a recording that the lines are, these are not confidential phone calls, and you're permitted to say whatever you want to say, and those phone calls are recorded, and so that was an insight, and this was said in open court. Those text messages and those phone calls were an insight as to how she really acted, what she really understood, how she was really coordinating her efforts with her attorney and in some instances family members. It wasn't us guessing, it wasn't us arguing. They were hearing the words directly from Catherine herself. And so
Doesn't that speak to the
I
issue
wouldn't,
of-
I would, we wouldn't have had, the calls are not recorded at Perkins, we would have not have gotten them. And also, in the text messages, if you go to jail in Montgomery County, they give you an iPad. And that iPad, I think it operates from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night or something like that, then they shut it down. And you can use this to communicate with people, and that's also not confidential. We would not have really got the insight that you get into the mind of this individual that we were trying to prove was competent. I think that was uniquely powerful. Quite candidly, going up in court, if you listen, go back to what Judge Bonifant said, go back to what he ruled. He constantly kept coming back in his reasoning, hearkening to what was said in the text messages or what he heard on the phone calls. And also, when you get to listen to the phone calls, you hear the rhythm, you hear the voice, and you also are listening, I'm sure, for any kind of sense of delusions or psychosis as you're listening to it, because you can say whatever you want to say, but now you have something that's a real clear look at how she's functioning. Again, I ask you to go back to what Judge Bonifant said in court, but he had the advantage of this, and we would not have had that. And we did not have that from Perkins.
John,
When
is
she
there any
went back to
possibility-
Perkins, we didn't have that.
Is there any possibility that this could be excluded because of attorney-client privilege issues if she's talking to her attorney?
We don't have any record. The phone calls between Catherine and her attorney were not what we played, not what we have. Those phone calls are confidential. We didn't have them. We didn't supply them. That's not what we're listening to. The phone calls that are recorded are private phone calls to non-professional individuals that
Family
are
members.
in your. Yeah, you family.
Acquaintances, family members.
Yeah,
whomever.
but we don't. So anything that was said between Catherine and directly with Mr. Felsen, we don't have privy to that. We're not permitted to have that. We never had that.
John, you look fired up now. When you first came out, it looked like you were fighting tears.
Look, it's been a long time. It's been a long time, and I think because we had been through this for so many times. I know what we believed. We know what we thought we heard in the messages, but it was not within our control.
Do you think
And
there's a
I
chance-
thought,
Go ahead.
and I also think that, look, there's only so many times you can do this. There's only so many times you can go through this. So to me, this was our best and potentially final shot at this.
There was one thing about the text messages and calls before, it seemed like you were prepared to, let the judge go through thousands of text messages and all of them as a conversation. Can you talk a little bit more about that conversation, why you decided not to submit all of those text messages?
May I, look, we wanted to proceed, yeah. May I say, maybe a perfect example is yesterday we were deciding, and there was some issue about whether or not all of the text messages and all the phone calls would go in. Now, if you were in court, we played a couple of dozen in court, but there are many, many others. We were not trying to cherry pick what the judge had. We wanted him to have them all. He asked a question about how many there were. Quite candidly, I think he was surprised to find out there were so many, and so he was asked us before we decided not to put that in. He asked us if we could reduce it to some kind of a manageable number where we gave him the ones that actually mattered, and we were prepared to do that. But then I actually went out and talked to the family. not that they look. Troy didn't make the decision, but I listened to him, and I listened to Matt, and I listened to the other people in the room that were with me at the time. I listened to Ryan, because I can tell you the first person who started telling me it's how vital she is. One of my anchors here, she said, "Look, we don't need that. Let's just go forward. Let's not make another issue about it. We have enough." And I just said, "Look, do you want to fight this, or you want to go forward today?" And I think we got to a consensus in the back room after we discussed it, and came back in and said, "We're ready to go."
Can I just ask a quick follow-up? Troy made mention of the possibility of finding the children at some point. You're going to have time before the trial. Any chance that any additional police work will be done, any additional cold case type work will be done to try to...
Let me say, we're going to prepare the matter for trial. I will tell you, Mike and Demetri are here with us, two extraordinary homicide detectives. And I will tell you, they've been with this case for 11 years too. And there's not a day, I don't think there's a time when I ever see these two detectives, and I see them all the time. We're not saying something about the Hoggle case. And that was not just in the weeks leading up to this hearing, as for the last 11 years. So these men and women from the police department and these two fine detectives are part of a team that have led us to get here. They continue to do their effort. We're just going to get ready for trial. And I will tell you, if there's anything that they can do that helps us, they're going to do it. And I know that. And look, people in Montgomery County are very, very blessed to have men and women on that department that are as dedicated as these men.
Thank you.
Thank you for answering that. Thank you.
How soon could this be?
Do you want to turn it off? I'll okay. I'll make a written statement. So, for those who want to listen, my name is Lindsay Hoggle, and I'm Catherine's mother. I want to go on record as saying that Judge Bonifant was very fair, that the series of findings on incompetence were explained and made sense from those decisions 11 years ago. I have been working on this case for 11 years and have been working with Troy and his wife for the past 3.5 years because I want to know what happened to Sarah and Jacob. And so I spoke with Catherine with full knowledge that it was going to be repeated, that it was going to be recorded, and she knew that. And that's why I get in trouble a lot. I'm going to push the envelope until I get the answer that I want. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands. I think this really gave a good view of the past 11 years in terms of her care. She was not allowed to have any therapy until the charges were dropped. So for the first 8 years, she received no therapy. And so I'm thrilled that she's improved since then. And I'm not giving up on an answer one way or another that we get it. And I just want to make sure that you know that I'm still looking for Sarah and Jacob and for the answer of what happened. And so I hope that we still have that communication to do so. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Hey, John?
Check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Mic 1 2.
All right, two will be off. Yeah, hey there, testing 1 2 3. Is that you, Michelle? Thank you.
Didn't you ask him if he was going to stay on as the attorney?
Yeah, I did.
And then he looks at me like I'm a moron.
You're not. No, I know. I did ask if he's staying, and he said, I think he said through the competent or through the status hearing, but he didn't know beyond that. I do. Hey, Victoria, is that you? Thanks. Oh, you bet. Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah, so the CG will be live with Troy Turner, missing children's father. I'd go back in the corner as far as you can, just so we're out of people's way. And then myself, obviously. And can you have a VO together? Just grab a VO that's in the system. Okay, thanks. What's that? Yeah, absolutely. That's all the time. I just think that you're covering a lot of shit. Way to go, man. I was a little concerned. Right? When he started out, I was like, where the fuck is this going?
I actually started, that was when I started thinking, okay, we're probably good because it started that way this time.
I did all my due diligence.
Last time it started with compromise, and then
That's a good point. That's a good point. Jesus. Well, way to go. You know, it's something. It's something.
it's a start.
Yeah. It's all we'll be asking.
Yeah.
Just takes a minute here. Saying hello. It's cold outside, and then we're good. Thank you.
Been here before.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't see any. I thought she buried her head or something. One there. I mean, that's what I was telling my wife. People work this morning. I'm like, wow, there's just no way. Dr. Johnson had like this.
Hey, Charles, that's what he wrote. Hey, man, let's go. That's what we wanted to get across. But I asked you.
You were great. And the fact you were looking down, it didn't even look like you were reading it. It looked like sometimes in scrums there are reporters underneath. It looked like you were just answering the questionnaire. Honestly, I used it. Totally.
I appreciate you saying that.
No, absolutely. All right, so you stay right there. I'm going to step it closer so that when I turn this way, just go in on and Troy and just stay with him even for my questioning. Okay. And then we can wrap up. But I'm closer to you so that he's not looking sideways. That's just for Sarah and Jacob.
So we're here for.
Yeah. And maybe when you first go to Troy, widen up for his shirt so I can point out, and then. Thanks, man. Now, truth be told, you were the blocker for him. It wasn't the other way around. That made it sound like you were.
He kept people off me. He's been kept my whole life almost.
Yeah, with the two of you guys, I would not want to go against you. Hey, Victoria, are you able to come straight to us? Okay. Okay, good. Because Troy's, thank you, because Troy is sticking around for us, so I don't want to, yeah, thank you. I was going to say, borrow Brian's big light. You're okay?
Yeah,
All right, they're starting the show. Yep. Good. And it is Marina, correct? It sounds like her. You'll be rolling, right?
Yep, rolling.
Yeah.
Thanks for covering my kids, man.
Well, Marina, it was fairly dramatic. It started at 2 o'clock, only lasted about maybe a half hour, but Judge James Bonifant, who 3 years ago deemed Catherine Hoggle to be incompetent, allowing the earlier murder charges to be dismissed, today said no, she has improved mentally, even though she does suffer from schizophrenia. He found that in the testimony over the last couple of days and the evidence submitted that she does not suffer from delusions or paranoia at the present time. And based on some text messages and some recorded phone calls between Catherine and her mother and her father from the jail when she was rearrested this past summer, he says she seems to be in a good place to aid in her defense, and therefore Judge Bonifant this afternoon said Catherine Hoggle is competent to stand trial for murder. A status hearing has been set for later this month, no trial date set, but it is big news for those like Troy Turner, the father of Sarah and Jacob, and you see here, justice for Sarah and Jacob. You're going to shake hands. I'll shake hands with you, Troy. Your reaction, it appears you, your family, your children may get your day in court finally.
Yeah, I mean that's all we can hope for is to move forward, and that's what this does. It starts to push things forward a little bit, you know, and hopefully we get somewhere to where maybe she'll talk and say what she did with my kids.
I know there was a chance that perhaps she would be found incompetent again. I know you feared that. The prosecution feared that. That's how she's been deemed since day one, incompetent to stand trial. In your mind, what does this change in her status and the fact that she can now face these murder charges mean for the search for your children?
As far as the search goes, it kind of just depends on how that plays out. If she decides it's beneficial for her to say what she did, I believe this is our only chance for that to happen. As far as the rest of it goes, you know, I mean, as a father, obviously I want the information first. I want my kids first and foremost. But she took my two babies and everything they were ever going to be to us. So I also want the justice, and I think it's important that we're here now.
Awesome, Troy. Hang with a second. I want to talk to you in just a minute, but thanks. Thank you, Troy. So there it is, guys. Again, no murder trial date set. It'll be probably sometime next year, maybe later next year. A Judge, Debbie Dwyer, will oversee that. But Judge James Bonifant will have a status hearing just to see how things are going moving forward on December 23rd. But a big day, big step forward in the search for justice for Sarah and Jacob Hoggle, guys. I meant to say the search for justice. I didn't mean like a physical search. I'm sorry. I knew what you meant. Fine. Cool. All good. Can we do this? Let's break down and go to the car. Okay. I think we can. Let's get there. Leave your sticks and camera. You know, set up right outside by the car.